Welcome to our fourth lesson on our biomechanical flipped classroom on levers. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to understand the three classes of levers, some examples of each of those levers, and how you can apply it to a basketball, remembering a very simple acronym. So let's get started. So what is a lever? A lever is a very simple machine made up of three main parts. All levers have a pivot point or fulcrum. They have an effort arm and they have a load arm. And it's really important that you know these three main parts. So as you can see, a fulcrum represents the triangle, and this is a pivot point from which all movement occurs, which is basically your joint. Secondly, we have our load, which is basically a picture of a box, and this is a weight or an object we are trying to move. And lastly, we have our effort arm. The effort arm is simply the place in which the force is applied to try and create that movement to move the particular load. Alright, so basically our effort is generally our contracting muscle or the agonist muscle that is working. Shorter levers are good to increase strength. They help for pulling, pushing and lifting activities, while longer levers result in greater speed, so they are good for throwing and striking. So let's have a look at our first class lever. Right, so as you can see from the picture on the upper part of your left-hand corner, you can see that the fulcrum is in the middle. Our load arm is on one side and our effort arm is on the other side. We can create more force or more speed depending on the position of the fulcrum. So let's just have a look at some examples here below. Right, so we're going to look at the pliers below here to begin with. Alright, as you can see, the fulcrum here is this part here, that's our fulcrum. Our load, what we're trying to crack is our nutcracker, so that is the load that we are trying to break. So that is there. Okay, and the effort is the arms that are coming together here. So that is our effort. Okay, effort. Oops, sorry team. Effort, load, and we've got our fulcrum there. Alright, if we were looking at another example of the seesaw, as you can see here, we've got the fulcrum in the middle, we've got the load here of this particular person, and this particular person higher up is the effort that needs to push down really hard to lift that particular person up. Alright, and another example over here on my far right is someone using a crowbar to lift a particular object. So as you can see, the fulcrum is there. Right, the load is the weight that that particular person is trying to move, and the effort is coming from the particular person to try and lift it. Right, and as you can see here, this person is requiring more force because the force arm is longer than the resistance arm. Okay, so we've got a longer force arm, compared to a load arm. Okay, so here this requires more force to move this particular object. Alright, moving on. Okay, let's have a few examples of the first class lever in the human body. Alright, and once again I've applied it to basketball because that's what our assessment is about. So the two examples I've given you guys for today is, first one on my left is someone doing a jump shot, and the example here as we're looking at is elbow extension. Alright, so the fulcrum, once again, is the joint. So elbow extension, the joint here is our elbow. Alright, the effort, or the effort, yeah, is a contracting muscle. So this is your triceps brachii. Okay, and then you've got your load, which is a ball, or the object that we are trying to move, which is our basketball. So this is a first class lever because, as you can see, the fulcrum is in the middle. Alright, our second example is tilting the neck. Alright, and then our fulcrum is our neck joint. Alright, the effort is our trapezius muscle contracting. Alright, and the load is the skull and the neck that is pulling it down. So once again, it is a first class lever. Alright, our second class lever, the main points you need to remember here is that the fulcrum has changed position, as you can see on the picture on the far left. Alright, so the fulcrum is on the left hand side, the load is in the middle, and the effort is on the right. Alright, and basically the main points you need to understand here is that this allows an increase in force as the effort arm is longer than the load arm. And what I mean by that is, let's just get a picture. Okay, so here we take the fulcrum all the way to the effort arm. Okay, so that's the effort arm, or the force arm, same thing. Alright, and then you take the fulcrum all the way to the load arm. Okay, so as you can see, the effort arm is longer, so it requires more force to move a particular object. Right, and then take an example here. We'll look at the example of someone carrying a wheelbarrow. Okay, the fulcrum is the wheel. Okay, fulcrum. The load, okay, is what's being lifted. Is this here, what the particular person is carrying. And the and the effort is coming from the arms and the particular person to lift this particular wheelbarrow up. Right, so that's known as your effort. Okay, and applying it to a basketball skill. So for example, in the jump shot, as we are during the preparation phase, our feet are planted on the ground, and as I push up and I'm up in the air, my feet are demonstrating plantar flexion. So that is an example of a second class lever. Alright, and the fulcrum would be our toes. Right, the effort is a muscle that's pulling us up, and that is our gastrocnemius. Effort. And the load is our ankle. Okay, or the weight of our whole body pulling on us. Alright. Alright, second class lever. This is the most common lever in the human body, and it generates more speed rather than force. So as you can see, the fulcrum is still on the left, but now the effort is in the middle and the load is on the right. So putting this into practice, the picture below is demonstrating elbow flexion. Okay, so let's work out where the fulcrum, the effort, and the load is. So with elbow flexion, the joint here is the elbow, so that's known as our fulcrum. The effort, or the contracting muscle, or the agonist muscle that is working to produce that movement, that is pulling on it, is our biceps brachii. Okay, and that's known as our effort, and the load, or the weight that we need to move, is the object, and for here it is the ball. Okay, right, and another example over here of my basketball player who's doing a jump shot. Here we've got knee extension. So at the knee joint is known as my fulcrum. It's about there. The contracting muscle, the muscle that is my agonist muscle that is working, is my gastrocnemius. Oh, sorry, it's not my gastrocnemius, it's my gluteus maximus. Apology there, sorry. And the resistance is my ankle, or the weight. Right, so for the A, you've got your fulcrum is your knee, your agonist or contracting muscle is your quadriceps, and your load is your ankle, or the weight. Alright, and one easy way to remember levers, alright, is this acronym FLE 1, 2, 3. Rightio. In our first class lever, okay, we've got our fulcrum in the middle. Right, in our second class lever, the load is in the middle. Okay, and with our third class lever, our effort is in the middle. Easy thing to remember, FLE 1, 2, 3. Okay, fulcrum for first, load for second, effort for third. Those are what in the middle of our levers. Alright, so I hope you guys found this useful. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in class. Thank you.